What's going on, guys? Blink here, back with a new guide. So I decided to create this guide to help give you guys advantages when reading your opponents. Also, the V-Bucks giveaway is still going on, so make sure to visit the link in the description to enter. And lastly, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications as opposed to Amazon gift card code in the comments every time I upload. By turning on notifications, you'll have a way better chance of getting here first and redeeming that code. Anyways, guys, let's get to this guide. So in this first situation, we'll be talking about a duo tip. So say you down an opponent and his teammate is nowhere to be seen. Then right after downing this player, take a look at where he's looking and be prepared to be more aware in that general direction. When you get down, you usually look at your teammate to see if he's close or far. You also try giving information to your teammate, that way you can help him in this situation. You're not going to look away from your teammate as you can't really give out information. So I think that's a pretty good explanation on paying attention to down players. In this situation, you can see after downing this player, he instantly looked towards the house. You can see him flicking back and forth between me and the house to calculate how close his teammate is and how close I am. So I look towards the house and see someone building in the attic. Now we know his teammate's in there and we do end up eliminating him. Reading players is super important to not allow any backstabs. You'll be much more prepared when putting a wall down when you can see his teammate, or you just get a general feel of where his teammate can be. Now, since we are talking about down players, let's get into ways you can help your teammate if you end up getting downed. So, my teammate did end up getting downed and instantly provided information on where an opponent is. A lot of the times after players get down, they start complaining, resulting in their teammate not being able to hear anything or just dying because they never really help. After getting down, your goal is to now help give your teammate information about the other opponents. If you get downed and an opponent is right beside you, then let your teammate know if he's above, below, close, or far. Now, some players don't like it when you talk as they fight, as it either distracts them or they just can't hear anything, especially if the voice is louder than their in-game sound. That's why balance is key. I always make sure my teammate's voice is loud enough to hear him, but not overpowering to where I can't hear my opponent's footsteps. So make sure you guys got that in check. Adjust the volumes to where you can hear footsteps even if your teammate's talking, as having that footstep sound will help you read your opponents by just listening. Now, the situation ended up being a pretty easy elimination, as my teammate told me the player was directly beside him under the stairs. All I had to do now is line up my shotgun in that approximate direction and adjust it once I can spot my opponent. This is a great example on why communication is still important between a down player and a player that's still in a fight. So let's figure out where your next opponent can be after fighting a previous team. Both of these teammates were a little split from each other, and one of them was going for the build up onto the mountain. Now, it's not easy to read these types of situations, as you aren't sure if his teammate ended up being a little farther just so he could get on the mountain to gather some info, or if he's actually pushing a team. Now, the only way it's easier to tell is if he's forwarded up and is really focusing on that mountain. For example, players that are crouching on top of a house roof, kind of having their focus towards one spot, can be a sign that there's someone up ahead. Then get on that house roof and take a look in the direction of where those players were looking. Now, in this situation, we eliminated both players and started heading towards the mountain, just to make sure there's no one on it. We made sure to build every wall and staircase needed just so we don't get shot in the process of building up. Double ramped it up, and there were two opponents sitting up top. Got above both players, and we were able to catch both of them just sitting up there. So make sure you guys are paying attention to player positioning before a fight even happens. Now, this next scenario is about fighting players around houses. I take up this player from a pretty far distance, and he ends up running into the house. Now, this is where you listen to that healing sound, and sometimes it's not that easy to hear players, as I do feel like the above and below sounds are a little buggy in Fortnite. So in most situations, you never really want to push into a house, as it just ends up being a blind firefight most of the time. You can't really build your way covered. So what I did was use the floors to maneuver my way around. I ended up hearing this player somewhere in the middle, and the most common spot for a player to usually hide in a house would be under the stairs or holding the angle on the stairs or beside a door. So be super cautious of peeking those areas. Now, I knew he was somewhere around the stairs. What I did was broke the wall, and as the wall broke, I moved over to the left to avoid getting shot through all the debris. You want to make sure you give yourself advantages by creating that right side peeking angle. Had I moved over to the right, it wouldn't have gave me an advantage, as my opponent's on the left side of my screen. So make sure he's on that right side to give you that easier lineup. Now, I could have also placed a wall down and made an edit. It also depends on what you're feeling in that situation, as both would have worked. So let's quickly recap. If you down a player, pay attention to where they're looking, as you'll be able to gather information onto their teammate. Now, if you're the down player, then make sure you're providing information for your teammate about your opponents. Although it's different for everyone, so don't do this if your teammate doesn't like you talking when he's fighting. If you spot players pushing an area or just really focusing in one direction, and after eliminating them, make sure you're prepared for any opponents around that area. And lastly, players running inside houses to heal. Always be prepared for them to be sitting in the most common spots, around the stairs or behind a door, so be super cautious around those areas. Well guys, that's it for this guide. Hopefully I've helped some people out, and a like and a sub would be greatly appreciated, as it does help me out a lot. Anyways guys, thanks for watching, and hope you have a great rest of your day or night, and I'll see you on the next one.